Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for part 2 of Professor Victor Singing Eagle's English Composition 1 lecture about the communication situation graphic for English Composition 1 here at Sisseton, Wahpeton College. And now, your host, Professor Victor Singing Eagle.
Yay!
Right on. All right. Last time we were chatting, we were talking about the elements of persuasion and using logic. And I said I was going to torture you a little bit more with Aristotle's communication situation graphic, which you all know and love, right? Because it shows up on all my tests, right? Right. I remember several years ago when I was teaching composition in Alabama, of all places, and I was talking about this communication situation graphic. One of my supervisors happened to meander by, and she said, "That's brilliant." But really, it's just common sense, to be honest. And I'm already talking too much. I already talked a whole minute. Haven't gotten anything done yet. Now, because y'all know I'm a scatterbrain, and I talk way too much in all of my little mini lectures, I figured I'd just go with whatever's on the top of my head. In this case, I'm thinking of Pow-Wows. I don't know why Pow-Wows popped into my brain, probably because I was just reading Tommy Orange's novel called There, There. Back in my younger years, I used to go to Pow-Wows quite frequently. I was a traditional man dancer, and as a young one, a young veteran, I was afforded a little bit of honor, and it was in California, which, as you might remember from one of my previous lectures, a lot of hippies, and back in the 80s especially, and all these people, crystal heads, and people who kind of semi-worshipped Indians. I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, let's just keep it PG-13, shall we? I snagged a lot whenever I went to a powwow. So I looked forward to going to powwows. Okay, I'm talking too much. I'm doing too much mythos. Let's put me up here because it's simple and it's fast and we can do it quickly. In this case, author or speaker. There's a reason I'm doing this, because a lot of you guys are not getting it. So we're going to go through it again. We're going to put over here reader or listener. And over here, we're going to put subject or issue. And I'm also going to use those wonderful Greek words I taught you before, the author. We're going to put up with him ethos. That is his credibility. Pathos goes down here with listener, which is appeal to emotion. And logos over here, which is appeal to facts. You remember that? And I said I'm going to add one called mythos. I'm going to stick that in the middle because in the middle is purpose. It's almost related to pathos a little bit, but I'm going to put mythos here. First, I'm going to put purpose. Then I'm going to put mythos. Mythos, which I didn't really explain, is pretty much the story behind whatever it is that you're trying to persuade somebody to do. Remember that? Don't forget it. I also told you that there is a relationship between each one of these. I just spoke about myself. I told you that I am a veteran of the United States Coast Guard. Matter of fact, disabled veteran, but we won't go there right now. We want to speak mostly about this. I'm going to rewind, push the rewind button to back in the 1980s when I was going to UC Santa Barbara, majoring in English and anthropology as an undergrad student, fresh out of the military. So let's put up here, author, speaker. 21-year-old Potawatomi male, veteran, U.S. Coast Guard. I should put disabled because I had a head injury, disabled, which is why I'm so scatterbrained, you see. We'll talk about that. Loves his culture. Speaks or used to speak Anishinaabe. Now I'm mixing it up with Chinese, but we'll talk about that in a minute too. Speaks Anishinaabe. What else? Raised in Mount Shasta, California. I just put Mount Shasta. But born in Los Angeles, which makes me an urban Indian. What else? I suppose I could say I was a little bit way better looking than I am now. Actually, I was kind of skinny / fit. Loved lifting weights. Lived in the dorms. A single dorm. We'll get to that in a second. Majored in English anthropology. I could go on and on and on and on and on about this, but we don't have enough time. How are we doing on time? Let me check. Dang, I already spoke for 7 minutes. I'm going to cut this one short in just a second, and I'm going to do part 2 and part 3 of this video because you know I talk way too much. English anthropology, fresh out of the military, disabled, head injury. I'm going to put that up there too. Head injury, which means scatterbrain. SCATTERBRAINED. What else do we want to know? I already put skinny and fit. Still learning what it means to be an Indian too, because if you read Tommy Orange, he talks about this in his novel. Well, we've got these urban Indians. Who don't know what it's like to live on a res, live amongst fellow natives. In my case, though, I lived in a community as a young one with a bunch of other Indians, and we were all related. We lived in a neighborhood in Southern California, just outside of Los Angeles, called Carson. And everybody in the neighborhood was related, and we were all natives. And we were mixed. But we'll talk about that another time. I'm running short on time. I'm going to cut this video short, and I'm going to make part 2. So let me pull this up here. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. All right. We're going to stop this. We're going to do part 2. Talk to you later.